Hello, everyone, and welcome into this week's edition of Coach's Report. And today, I have a very special guest on. He was able to coach my brother and coach in my hometown, and definitely has made his mark in the women's basketball world. And I just would like to introduce him on Coach Joshua Reese of Olney High School. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I can't complain. It's not hot outside, so that's a plus.
Oh, well, you need to send some of that down here. I mean, we're still like 98, so yeah, I could I could definitely use it. Coach, I've talked to you on and off for a while. You've kind of given me some advice along this coaching journey that I'm on trying to get to where I want to be. One thing that I've seen is you were quite the athlete in high school. So I kind of want to go back and talk about the glory days, give you a little time to shine right here.
Oh man, here we
Kind
go.
of more importantly, like being from like a school like Rotan, like you did a lot. Like you kind of have to in those small communities. What advantages did it help you being involved in many sports? Because like I've talked with other coaches, a lot of specialization today starts very young, and I can see it being a very negative thing towards kids. What were your experiences like being all involved that you were involved in Rotan?
Man, I was, Rotan's a small town, and I just love the small town, atmosphere. We don't have a lot of coaches, and so that just that one-on-one time you got to spend with coaches, and them just pouring into you, because a lot of people don't really think that coaches, they spend so much time away from their own family and kids, pouring into other kids. And I really, that's something that that I looked up to in high school. I was involved in football, basketball, track. I did cross country one year, and I was like, oh no, it's not for me. But Rotan, like I said, Rotan's a small school. We were 11 man when I went to school, and now they're 6 man, so it's kind of a lot smaller. But just having some success in sports, and like I said, just that one-on-one time with coaches and them pouring into me and staying on top of me and making sure that I wasn't going to be a knucklehead. And I had a really strict mom who scared me, and I'm still scared of her to this day. And so with them just being, a discipline on me and saying on me, and just having success in sports kind of really helped me, get to where I am today. And so I'm thankful for those high school coaches that I had. I'm thankful for my mom, and along the way in the coaching world, I've made some really really cool friends who I reach out to on a daily basis. And I'm always trying to help out people in the profession and people trying to get into the profession, just like that help was given to me. So
Yeah, and to touch back on your high school coaches, I find it crazy that a lot of people don't realize the impact that they have. A lot of people just want to yell at them on Friday nights or just be like, "Oh, why are they doing that to you? Why do they have you in that position?" But they don't realize that more goes into it as far as like character building and team building. But how you've mentioned your story with me, you went through I teach, and usually when you go that route, it wasn't because you went to school to per se be a coach. Was any of the influences that you had in high school, did that kind of shift your judgment into possibly going into this profession?
Well, I had a best friend in high school, and his family kind of pursued me that way. When I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I've never been out of Rotan, Texas. I think Abilene was the furthest town I've ever been to, and that's an hour away. And so, like, I grew up, not with all those advantages and things. And I actually went to college to be a youth minister. That was what Mr. Reese was going to do. And I in high school, like I said, I had a best friend, and he kind of was like, man, you're really good at sports, and you should do sports in college, and then you should get out and you should coach. And I was just like, I don't really know if that's for me. And I don't necessarily want to say that I had a burnout, but it was just one of those deals that me being from Rotan and not having that experience and that outside of the world and stuff, I just kind of didn't know what I could do. So I went to Western Texas College on a track scholarship, and I ran track there for a year. And my best friend was graduating high school, and he was like, "Hey, I'm going to go to this college called Mary Hardin Baylor. You should go." And so I looked it up and applied for it, got accepted, and I went there, and just really almost changed my major every year, but really just fell in love with coaching. And I played football there, and was involved in all kinds of things on campus. And so by just playing football and being around, college coaches, same thing, it just kind of started to grow on me. And here I am now. So
One thing I do want to touch on real quick, your collegiate athletics. I can speak from personal testimony that, coming from a small town to a college atmosphere, if you don't have the right kind of people around you, you can easily not find success. You can easily find the other side of it. Coming from Rotan, a small town, and like you said, not really experiencing much around, how important do you feel it was going to a JUCO first? And kind of what did you get from? Did you benefit from having a good culture around you, even when you went to Mary Hardin Baylor?
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of those things that, I don't think I could have went to a D1 or D2 college with more than 15 kids in a class, because I was used to having, 15 or less kids in
Hmm.
a class. And so that was, that my first part, is when I go to Western Texas College, how many people are going to be in a classroom? And, same thing, like I'm not the smartest crayon in the box, but I always wanted that, like I said, that one-on-one interaction with people. And so like if I was ever struggling in a class or I needed help, it was, I know that I can go to that professor, email them, and they
Hmm.
would open up that door and they'll say, hey, Mr. Reese, come on in and we can help you with whatever you need. But that going to Western Texas College really helped. And Mary Hardin Baylor, it's grown now, but when I was there, like, I mean, it was the same thing. Like, I didn't have more than 15, 20 people in a class. And I think the largest class I had was chapel, and that was on Wednesdays, and it was big auditorium and everybody was in there, but you didn't have to get up and speak in it.
Yeah.
So, that being from a small town, going to that JUCO and then to Mary Hardin Baylor, it really kind of helped out. And so, like I said, I'm really appreciative of all the people who have helped me out and paved that way for me. And so,
And along your coaching career, like you've been at some places that have found success. Um, do you talk whenever players come up to you and talk about that possible next step of playing at the collegiate level? Do you rely on that JUCO experience? Because I know I've heard some coaches that either coached or did JUCO, and they're like, don't think about it. What you hear from others that have these D1 aspirations, like there's a lot of positives. Have you had that ability to pass that knowledge on to people?
absolutely, and it's funny you say that, because when I went to Rotan, I love football. Like, I hate to brag on myself, I was pretty darn good at football, and I played quarterback in high school, and we ran the beer, and so like I was pretty successful with that, and I played basketball, but I wasn't very good. I played basketball because of my brother played, and he was 6'2", and here I am, 5'8", but and I ran track, and track was another sport that I love, but I was really good at football, but I had no aspirations of going on to play collegiate sports. And I think one day I was sitting at home and I just got a random call from the coach at Western Texas, and he was like, "Hey, we're starting up a track team here, and I heard that you were pretty fast." And so I did that. But I do have like a lot of kids who, when I get to places, they ask me about that time that I had, and I tell them, it's different. It doesn't matter if it's JUCO Division III, because that's what Mary Hardin Baylor is, Division III, Division II, Division I. I was like, they're all going to be the same. You're going to have all same coaches. You're going to do the same things there. I was like, but you just got to have that mindset of, I can do it. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't matter if you go to Baylor University or not. You're still going to get the same education that you're going to get at Baylor at Mary Hardin Baylor. Now, it may cost the same, but other than that, it's all about that mindset. You got to have a strong mindset, and in order to compete. And and I try to pass on as much knowledge as I can. I try to help kids get into schools, that's affordable for them, and just to see them play at the next level. I want them to have that same success that I had.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I kind of want to just expand on just a little bit is your ability to share your experiences with these students, and finding that success. Is that something that came easy to you to share these experiences, or is that something that you kind of had to like tap into and be like feel a little bit more comfortable talking about your experiences with the kids?
Absolutely. It was something I had to feel more comfortable about. I'm not one of those that just like to, I'm Coach Reese and I've done this and I've done that. It's just like I kind of don't even say anything until people, like, somebody be like, "Hey man, did you know Coach Reese played college?" And they're like, "What, Coach, you did it?" And I kind of, build up from there. But it's definitely something that I've grown over the years to get comfortable about when people ask me. But like I said, it's not one of those deals where it's right off the back. Well, I ran college track, or because like half the kids like don't even know that I was a state champion in track. Like I got a big old ring and I don't ever wear it. It's kind of like at Mary Hardin Baylor. We won conference every year, and I got all these rings. I don't even wear them, and so like I said, it's just one of those deals where if a kid asks me about it, then yes, I'll share some of that insight. But other than that, I'm just I don't really like to brag on myself and whatnot. So
Yeah, I understand. I mean, you always get some of them coaches that live in the glory days, and it's
yes, sir.
like, come on, like, hey, it sounds like you're stretching the truth a little bit, but
Absolutely.
but all right. One thing I found interesting is you just came from Winters to Olney. Now, when you went to Winters and kind of took over that program versus Olney, whenever you enter a program for your first year and you're at the head of the helm, have you taken both jobs with the same approach, or is it kind of like a situation by situation? Because you may have more returners at one school versus the other, and you may have a philosophy that you kind of feels already what you're going for taught at one versus the other, or is it kind of like you approach the first year the same no matter what?
I think I approached the first year at every school the same as I would as the previous school, because you never know what situation you're going to get. You may walk into, oh, well, we got all these starters coming back, or you may walk into a brand new program that's had nobody, has varsity playing experience. And so when I was at Winters these past 2 years, I had took over a program that had no seniors. We were all juniors and sophomores, and that first year was rough because a lot of these girls, well, half the girls never played on varsity, never got any playing time on varsity. And so that first year was rough. We didn't win a district game, and I had the same philosophy, same everything. And our girls, it's all about buying in. And a great coach, Kim Mulkey, I'm a huge Baylor fan. She was at Baylor for a while now. She's at LSU. I listen to her a lot, and she had this talk about whenever she takes over a program, it's not all about the X's and O's, and it doesn't matter what kind of talent you have. You got to have discipline and you got to have structure, and that's what sets us apart. And so I had discipline and structure at Winters. And so that first year, like I said, it was all about implementing that discipline and structure, and how our girls are going to react to that. And that second year, this past year, we had a great season. We turned some heads. We were winning games. We were winning district games that we shouldn't even been winning. And people were like, "What in the world?" I remember we went 2-0 to start off district. And I got a text message from one of the coaches, and he was like, "Did y'all get a move in, Coach Reese?" And I'm like, "No, sir." And he was like, "Did y'all get a new coach?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I'm still that, like, come on now, give us some credit." And so, we turned some heads. We were, like I said, there was games where we were in them. We would go to overtime. We'd lose by 1 or 2, but I ended up actually getting voted Coach of the Year this past year in that district. And so, I was really proud of those girls, that they were able to turn their heads and actually, be disciplined and structured. And so whenever I take over programs, that's what I like to do. And, here at Olney, I'm going to bring in that same philosophy. It's all about discipline and structure, because it doesn't matter if you've had success in basketball or if you haven't had success in a while. If I, like I said, I firmly and truly believe in Kim Mulkey that if you have that discipline and structure, you're able to do all kinds of stuff. And it may be year 1, it may be year 2, and it may not be. It takes 3 to 5 years to build a successful program, but I'm really firm on having discipline and structure. And so that's how I like to live my life by. And so I'm bringing that here, and we're gonna go with it. And so
now I understand the move to Olney, because y'all could do the same hand signals as Baylor, and so it's kind of like Baylor all the time. I love the discipline and the structure. I think that's how I spoke on earlier. You teach these things, and it's something that they won't necessarily be doing the drills 100% of the time, or all the time, or even some of the time once they're out of high school. But the mindset is all you're creating for these girls. It's just the mindset that, hey, we're working, and you work hard at everything you do. Now, one thing is, usually you talk discipline, structure, usually get a coach that's a Nick Saban, doesn't like to smile, doesn't like to joke or cut up, but you're the complete opposite. You are, I guess, what some people would consider a player's coach, but you just know how to relate to the athletes. Now, first of all, is that natural for you, or is that something that kind of took a little bit of time too?
Man, that's a really hard question because I don't know if it's a little bit of both. I when I first started coaching and teaching, and I was in post, and I met a guy named Jerry Piles, and me and Jerry Piles talk to this day. He's my best friend. I was in Winters, and he was actually the principal in Blackwell, and we were 20, 30 minutes away from each other. So I would drive to his house. But, when I first started coaching and teaching, Coach Piles took me under his wing, and he kind of showed me the ropes and told me some things. And I'll never forget this day. And I use this till this day. And I even tell kids this. He always told me, he said, Coach Reese, if you're juiceless, you're useless. And I'm like, man, I like that. And so I kind of had that going, because kids, they're in school all day. And so you can make or break their practice for them. And so when you go out there and you're juiceless, you're fired up, kids are gonna be like, man, this guy's crazy. I've been locked up in school all day, from 8 to 2, and I come out here and Coach Reese, and and they kind of get comfortable and they kind of start doing that. And so, like you said, you can't have, and you have coaches that, they're just strict all the time and yell, but that's not me. Like and that's how players buy in, and I usually tell them, I'm like, guys, if you're juiceless, you're useless. And so I try to bring the juice to anything that I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I'm coaching junior high football, high school girls basketball, track, like I said, because those kids are not with you until late after school, and you never know what kind of day they had at school or what kind of problem they're going on and things like that. And so I kind of try to bring that out of them, and so that way they can have fun, not knowing, just learning how to play basketball, but have fun while doing it. And get life lessons along the way, because like at the end, like I said, that's what it's all about. And so I want to thank Coach Piles for that. He's my best friend and my buddy, and if it wasn't for him taking me under his wing, I wouldn't be the man that I am today.
I love that you're talking about energy, because I actually had just called my brother Patrick a little bit before. I was like, hey, I'm interviewing Coach Reese, like, kind of what was it like? He's like, well, I wasn't no running back, so I wasn't with him, but the energy. And one thing that I kind of want to talk about, and I kind of see things differently now, given that my wife's going to school to be a therapist, and I'm like having to hear the second hand and kind of changing my philosophy. But have you seen where your energy may have had a direct impact in a kid, or a kid may then feel comfortable to express kind of like maybe some things not related to basketball, and you can kind of help them in that sense too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I think it's all a positive. Once kids see that, they're able to get that trust, especially if you're a new guy and you're coming in and you're replacing somebody who may have been there for a long time, and kids have gotten used to a lot of kids. They don't really do well with like new coaches coming in. And when I first got to Olney, I was nervous because when I got to Winters doesn't have volleyball, and so Olney, we have volleyball, so it's kind of taken me to get used to. But for the most part, I came in the summer, met all the kids during workouts. And so, I try to be young at heart, and I'm still out there trying to race people up and down, the track and things like that. And like I said, I'm bringing the juice, but, once kids see that, they're able to grasp onto that. And they're like, man, this guy's gonna be pretty cool. Like, yes, he's our basketball coach, but he's also able to help us out, with our academics and just the small things in life. And so, I like I said, I'm all about it. And, anything for the kids, that's one reason why I got in the business. I have a little 7-year-old daughter, and, I hope if I'm coaching or somebody else is coaching her, that they're bringing the juice. And, she's just not learning how to play sports. She's learning, life, things to do in life and things like that. And so, with me being the way that I am, it really does help kids like grasp onto that and to come talk to me about things that they may have concerns with. So.
Now I must ask, the running around and racing the kids, has that taken a slowdown since the Achilles injury?
And I'm telling you right now, it has, and I teach PE, and there's times they're like, oh, come on, coach, and I'm like, so we had a pep rally the other day, and we had a dance off, and Coach Reese was in the dance off, and I looked back at the football players and I said, I'm about to do a backflip, and they're like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm about to do a backflip. And in my mind, I'm thinking this is going to go one or two ways. I'm going to land it or I'm not going to land it. And song came on and I just ran, did a backflip, and go. Everybody, I landed it. Everybody goes crazy, but there are times that I think that I do re-tear it, and it ain't no fun. But I will say that I have slowed down just a tad, man. It's no fun tearing an Achilles. I promise.
Yeah, I was gonna say give a little Tom Segura injury. I don't know if you've ever seen that where he's trying to dunk a basketball and
Oh my goodness.
messes up his whole body. Going back to like getting into the business and what type of person you are and you're the juice, the energy. Was there ever any concern getting into the business that maybe you wouldn't be taken seriously? Because that's what a lot of some of the older coaches feel that way. Like you got to be this way, or you ain't gonna get to them. They're just gonna think of you as a friend. Was there ever that concern, or you kind of came
Yeah.
up at that right time where it was like, no, you can also be a little bit more involved and a little bit more cut up and still get to the kids versus just strict all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there was that concern. There was schools that I was at where I felt like that. Like I couldn't get to kids because they were like, "Oh, well, Coach Reese, you're the cool coach, and you're young, and you run against us and do all things like that. You're that cool coach." But at the same time, I'm like, guys, I may be that cool coach, but like you still got to respect me. Like you still got to show me a little bit of stuff. And so, there was, and but now as I've gotten older and I've leaned on other coaches and I've asked them how they balance that out. And, like I said, Lonnie Burnham is another guy, a great guy. Him and Coach Powers, they help me out a lot, and I really appreciate it. But no, there are some people that think that, but at the same time, a lot of the kids, they know that they know when there's a time to joke around, and they know when there's a time for you to be serious. And so I haven't had any problems ever since. And I kind of usually try to let that be known during my basketball meetings or whatever sport I'm coaching. Like, hey, Coach Reese is fun. I bring the juice and everything, but there's a time for that, and then there's also a time where it's time to go. And so our kids, they respond to that really well. And so that makes another thing positive about life and just coaching. So
And I'm actually very curious. I don't think I've asked the coach this, but we actually ran into the situation with my son's t-ball team. But I'm very curious. Do you have a plan or a thing that you live by when talking to parents? When parents have concerns or want to talk about playing time, like what I've always heard is 24-hour rule. Give 24 hours. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk. But then also some coaches say we won't talk about certain things. We won't talk about positions or playing time or plays called. Kind of, do you have something like that approach that you talk to the parents beforehand?
yeah, so like usually normally during my basketball meeting, I break down all the rules that our girls have to follow and things like that. And then there's a section in there for parents. And yes, we all have that 24-hour rule, but at the same time, I record all of my practices. And I do that for that reason. When parents are like, well, why isn't my kid getting playing time? And I'm like, all right, well, let's watch this practice film right here. And you got little Sarah's talking while Coach Reese is talking, or they're not doing this, and things like that. But I have it all laid out. We don't ever talk about playing time. There's three things that we talk about in that parent meeting. It's what I can do to help your kid get better. We talk about their mental health, and we talk about their well-being. And so those are the three things that we talk about. We don't ever talk about playing time. And for the most part, I haven't had any problems with that. You still have your parents out there who are concerned and things. But, like I said, I keep it simple and short to those three things. And anytime that we're in a parent meeting and it comes up, they're like, well, I just want to know why I'm not playing. And I'm like, once again, we talk about what can I do to help them get better? And we talk about their mental health and their well-being. And so, and it's worked. And so I really think with that, having that in there, it's been helpful. And so, and it's something that I'm always going to live by and stick with. So
Yeah, I was talking to my wife and I was like, no, you got to give some time between, and there's certain things to talk about, certain things not to talk about. So I love how you get it out of the way beforehand and you address those things beforehand. And during the meetings, as like being at small schools, Winners and Olney, and even like Tahoka and Post, fundraising. What fundraisers have you seen be the most successful that maybe another coach can possibly do at their program that could help get them to that next level, to maybe get a new swag pack for the kids to get them excited?
man, I've seen all kinds of fundraisers, man. I will say the most beneficial one that I've seen is where they do the little call-a-thon. And I think that one's actually pretty cool. They do a little call-a-thon, where they call people or they send a text and they're like, hey, can you donate to our program that we're doing this year? I do one for basketball. I do a free throw-a-thon. And so like what I'll do is I'll give the kids a paper and they take it home and their parents will pay, like $20 and they say, all right, you got $20, you got to make 20 free throws. And so a lot of those things, and I just try to get like the community involved, and parents involved, so that way they can see what's going on in our basketball program and things like that. So they're like, oh, these kids are really working hard. Like, let's not reward them with something pretty good to help benefit their program. So,
and I'm very curious. I can't believe I didn't ask this before, but like I'm glad I'm gonna touch on it now. You played football and track and basketball for your brother. How has it been like coaching girls? Kind of, was that a jump that you were excited about because you have a daughter, or is that something that you're like, oh well, I'll try it and see? And how have you liked it?
Man, so when I left Tahoka, and that's when I first went to the girls' side, and I went to Petersburg, and I was at Petersburg for a year, and it is different. It is very different, and I will say that I think and most people, and I remember, I had coaching buddies tell me, they were like, I had a friend that left the boys' side and went to the girls' side and said he would never come back. Like the girls' side is just so much easier. And honestly, I feel like it is. I got a little daughter, and my dream is to coach her. Now, right now, she's 7. Mm-hmm. And so like we're best buds, but then there's times, where dad's got to be strict and get on to her. And I'm just like, man, I don't know if I can coach her, because then she may end up hating me. But it does. It has its perks. Like every, a boys' side, girls' side, everybody has its pros and cons. And now, whenever I went to Petersburg, I didn't do football. I haven't coached football in a while. I'm actually kind of doing it right now. I coach junior high, but I have no high school responsibilities because, girls basketball starts right around, towards the end of football season. And so like, I don't really like how they conflict and stuff. And so, but no, it's very different. I will say for the most part, out of all the schools I've been at, I've been coaching girls now for the last 6 years. I coached boys for 6 years. So I'm kind of even out on that side. So, I just feel like girls respond better, and I'm able to bring that discipline and structure in, and as far as being a head coach. Now, I'm not saying anything negative about the boys side. Like, yes, I can go back and be a head boys coach, but, just being on the girls side and, just bringing that discipline and structure, I just feel like it's easier to implement that stuff, and girls will buy in, and they'll do anything you ask. And so
whenever a young coach is coming up, would you advise them to not shut down girls sports so quick?
Absolutely. I sure would, man. It's, it's not something that, when I was going in early coaching, it's not something that I ever thought about. And then we had some success at Tahoka, and I said, you know what? I remember I told Coach Burnham, I said, hey, I think I'm going to go to the girls side. And he was like, do it. He was like, do it, man. And he was like, you're a dang good basketball coach. And he was like, your stuff. And he was like, do it. And so I did. I went on ahead and did it, and here I am. So
I have always heard, though, coaching girls, they're more aggressive. That's just how they are, and that you don't ever really have to worry about them being aggressive because they're going to.
Absolutely.
It's true. I would say the last 3 questions to kind of get a feel for who you are, kind of as a person. Your favorite sports movie. What would be up there?
Man, I really like Glory Road, man, and I know it's a basketball movie, but man, that one's up there. That was a pretty good one for me. I just, any basketball movie is good for Coach Reese. So,
and then secondly, I would say, what is like the guilty pleasure song on your phone? Like what is it that Coach Reese listens to in the house?
I listen to, and people think that I'm crazy, but I listen to a lot of Hispanic music. Like I can sing word for word, couldn't tell you what it's saying, but that's all I listen to. And I don't know, it just helps me calm down. Like even before basketball games, like I'm all nervous and stuff. Like I just put my AirPods on and start listening to my music, my playlist. And sometimes I'll play it in the weight room, play it in the gym. People like, and hey, Coach Reese, I'm like, yeah, you don't know nothing, you don't know that stuff. So, but no, I do, man. I just like that kind of music, man. It like I said, it gets me calm, and so.
Well, it seems like maybe you fare well down here in San Antonio area. And lastly, I won't lie. Whenever I had my middle son, Landry, I think that's what kind of clicked that thing in me. Hey, you want to get back in sports. Like, this is what you want to do. This is what you want to coach. Like, go after it. You've been coaching girls for about 6. Your daughter's 7. Did she have any impact? Did she
She
have
did,
any impact
man.
that,
She did.
hey, I might can coach my daughter one day and this is what I want?
She did, man. Just like watching her, and with her being involved in gymnastics and cheer, and she played this past year. She played little dribblers basketball. Just watching her do that, and just me thinking, like, hey, I was a stud. Maybe she has some of that athletic ability in her. And it sure did. Like I said, man, you know what, my daughter's, she's getting up there. Age goes up and not goes down. And so, like, it's just one of those deals. I said, I need to make a switch to the girl side so I can have some experience by the time she gets
Mhm.
up there, to coach her. And, that still is a goal of mine. And whether it's here or somewhere else, I really hope it happens, so.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, that's kind of what pushed me to do it, to kind of start the journey of getting into it for my kids, because I got 2 boys that I possibly coach together. My daughter, we kind of both came to the mutual understanding that we'll see how it is with that. I'm helping out with their softball team, and I told her, and she's like, "Hey, are you serious, or are you just kidding?" Like, yeah, but
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being on here, Coach Reese. Is there any last words that you would have? Possibly, this kind of like my last chance to give you the mic. If there's any advice that you would say to a young coach, or just anything that you want to say.
Man, just stick your head down and do it. Like, don't ever hesitate. If you got any questions, man, reach out to former coaches. Like I said, I'm blessed, and to be where I am today. All thanks to Coach Piles and Coach Burnham. Like I said, those 2 guys, and there's a lot of them. Like, I'm in a group text message with a lot of coaches from Post. I got Coach Ramos, Coach Garza, Coach. Piles is in there, got Coach Shalise and Coach Patterson, man. And so those guys are all sharing their wisdom daily, and I'm thankful for that. And so same thing with Coach Burnham and Coach Gerlich. Coach Gerlich is also a big guy of mine, and I'm appreciative of it. But no, I'm excited and blessed to be at Olney. I think it's going to be a great year for us. It's gonna be a good year. I got some girls that can go, and I got a couple of girls in off season basketball. I got about 6, and so we've been doing some off season stuff, and I'm just waiting for those volleyball girls to get here. Good luck to our volleyball girls. They're about to start district in a couple of weeks. They've been going at it, and so. But I'm excited. I'm excited about what I see at the junior high levels here, on as well as what we have at the high school level. It's going to be pretty good, and so um, can't wait to get going. October the 18th is the first official day, but like I said, we have volleyball, and I'm wishing our girls success, and they keep going on. I'll start basketball whenever those girls get finished, and I'm always at volleyball games, and I try to go to other sports to let them know that, man, I just don't care about basketball. I want you to be successful at every sport you play, and when kids see you at those other sporting events, man, they'll go all out for you, man. And so, man, but I'm thankful you had me on the show, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, I don't really try to toot my own horn and things like that, but I do try to be positive impacts in people's life, and I'm very thankful and blessed that you had me on the show today. So I just want to say thank you for that.
No problem, Coach. But I appreciate you coming on, and I'm glad that you touched on that. Showing up for other students in other sports. I think that I've heard that quite a bit of times, and I can't stress that enough. I mean, like, you see me, just for instance, if you see me playing basketball, but you got me in baseball, then yeah, it's gonna make me want to be that much more committed for you, because
Absolutely.
you supported me. But good luck this year, Coach Reese, and we will. I'll be keeping up with y'all. I'll be able to keep up with y'all and see how great the season turns out to be for y'all.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.